Most import-export businesses never fail because of logistics. They never fail because of customs. They never fail because of documentation. They fail long before they even get that far. And after 14 years in international trade, I believe I know exactly why. In the next few minutes, you'll learn why most new traders never get their first deal, why searching for buyers is usually the wrong starting point, and the exact mindset that helped us build international trade flows across more than 25 countries. My name is Gazki. I'm the managing director of Gazki Limited, and since 2012 we've been building and managing international trade flows of industrial products and services between Ukraine and more than 25 countries around the world. And looking back, one of the biggest lessons we learned had absolutely nothing to do with products. For years, I thought we were building an import-export company. I thought we were building a trading business, but then I realized something. We were never really in the business of trading products. We were in the business of discovering opportunities. And that realization completely changed how I think about starting a new trade flow. At the end of this video, I'll show you the simple framework that we've been using for years without even fully realizing it. Most people start their international trade journey like this. They find a supplier or they find a product. Maybe they have access to a manufacturer. Maybe they discovered some cheap source in China, India, Turkey, or Eastern Europe. Maybe their family owns a factory. Maybe they have access to agricultural products. And then they immediately start asking, how do I find buyers? So they buy customs bases. They attend trade fairs. They scrape LinkedIn. They send hundreds of cold emails. They cold call companies, they buy lead lists, they spend months searching for decision makers, and most of the time, nothing happens, or at least nothing meaningful. Why? Because they're trying to force a product into the market before they've even confirmed that the market actually needs it. The entire process is based on assumptions, and assumptions are expensive. The market does not care that you found a supplier. The market does not care that you found a product. The market only cares whether you can solve a problem. And that's when most people start looking in the wrong direction. Let's imagine you're trying to sell industrial products to a manufacturing company. Many new traders imagine the process like this: find buyer, present product, receive order, ship product, get paid. Simple. In reality, that's not how B2B works. Because in B2B, you're not selling to a person, you're selling into a system that already has suppliers, already has procedures, already has approvals, already has relationships, already has people whose careers and reputations depend on keeping everything running smoothly. Think about it. If a procurement manager has been buying from the same supplier for 5 years, why should they suddenly switch to somebody they've never heard of? Why should they risk delays? Why should they risk quality issues? Why should they risk explaining a failed experiment to management? They shouldn't, at least not without a very good reason. That's why trust matters so much in international trade. And that's why simply having a product is rarely enough. After years of trial and error, we slowly started noticing a pattern. The trade flows that moved the fastest were almost never created because we found an amazing product. They were created because somebody trusted us enough to tell us about a problem. That's a very important distinction. Not a product, a problem. The conversation wasn't, Mark, can you sell this product? The conversation was, Mark, we're struggling with this. Mark, this supplier is too expensive. Mark, lead times are too long. Mark, we can't find a reliable source. Mark, financing is becoming difficult. And once we understood the problem, only then did we start thinking about product, supplier, logistics, financing, customs, everything else. The opportunity appeared after the problem, not before. So here's the idea that completely changed our approach. Stop looking for buyers. Start looking for problem owners. Because problem owners create opportunities, and opportunities create trade flows, not the other way around. Now the obvious question becomes, okay Mark, if I shouldn't start with products and I shouldn't start by chasing random buyers, where do I start then? The answer is surprisingly simple. You start with the lowest hanging fruit available to you, your existing relationships. Think about the people you already know. Maybe it's a manufacturing owner, an employee at a factory, a retired industry professional, a supplier you've known for years, a logistics provider, a customs broker, a procurement manager, a former colleague, or simply somebody you've built trust with over time. Most people completely underestimate how valuable these relationships are because they're too busy looking for opportunities somewhere else. But international trade is built on trust, and trust already exists inside these relationships. Now, here's the important part. When you approach these people, you don't arrive with a product catalog. You don't arrive with a sales pitch. You don't arrive trying to sell anything. You arrive with curiosity. You start by asking questions. What are you struggling with? What's taking too long? What's becoming too expensive? What's creating risk? What do you wish worked better? What supplier keeps you giving headaches? What product is difficult to source? What process is slowing your operations down? And then you listen. Most people never get this far because they're too busy talking. The people who discover opportunities are usually the people asking better questions. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need hundreds of conversations. You don't need thousands of leads. You only need one meaningful problem, one real problem owned by one real company. Because one problem can become one pilot, and one pilot can become one trade flow. And this is where something very powerful happens. You're no longer guessing. You're no longer sitting at home wondering, maybe somebody needs this product. You're no longer buying databases hoping to find demand. You're no longer sending cold emails to people who never heard of you. You are standing in front of an actual market participant, a real buyer, a real user, a real decision maker. And they're telling you exactly what they're struggling with. That is demand validation, not theory. Not assumptions, not spreadsheets, reality. Now imagine a manufacturer tells you, we've been buying custom spare parts from Western Europe for years, but costs keep increasing. Interesting. Maybe you can source them in Eastern Europe. Maybe you can source them in Asia. Maybe you can reduce costs by 20%. Or maybe a company tells you, we're importing industrial chemicals from the United States and lead times are becoming a nightmare. Interesting, you think. Maybe those products are available in Turkey. Maybe lead times can be reduced significantly. Maybe costs can be reduced as well. Notice what happens? You didn't start with a product. You started with a problem, and the product revealed itself afterwards. That is a completely different way of thinking about international trade, right? Looking back, this is what we were doing all along. Step 1, find the right person. Step 2, understand their problem. Step 3, determine whether international trade can solve that problem. Step 4, run a pilot. Step 5, turn the pilot into a repeatable trade flow. That's it. That's the framework. Simple, but incredibly powerful because it replaces guesswork with reality. Instead of trying to force products into the market, you're helping the market solve existing problems. And that's a much easier conversation to have. So let's quickly recap. Most new traders start with supplier, product, buyer, and then spend months or years trying to force that model to work. What has worked far better for us? Relationships, problem, buyer, product, supplier. These 5 steps. Start with somebody who already trusts you. Understand what they're struggling with, validate that demand exists, run a small pilot, and only then build a supply chain around that opportunity. In many cases, this approach will save you an enormous amount of time, money, and frustration because you're building around real demand instead of assumptions. One final thing before we wrap up. At the moment, I'm conducting research to better understand the challenges entrepreneurs face when launching and growing international trade businesses. If you're currently trying to build an import-export business and find buyers, validate demand, or execute international trade deals, I'd genuinely be interested to hear your perspective. You'll find my contact details below this video. This is purely for research purposes. And if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being with us, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.